Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. For those who are new to this channel, my name is Chris and I'm a doctor working in dermatology based in the UK. So today I thought of sharing with you guys something interesting that happened when I was on call for dermatology over the weekend last week. In order to protect my patient's confidentiality and privacy, I will not name the patient's name or the hospital that I was called to. So bringing things into context, as on call for dermatology over the weekend, you work from 9 o'clock in the morning on Saturday until 9 o'clock in the morning on Monday. I do non-residential on call, which means I can leave the hospital whenever I want, but I do get called to come in to see any urgent patients. A lot of the time as dermatology on call, I have to come in to see dermatology inpatients over the weekend who were handed over on Friday evening to make sure that they are well and that there is a good treatment plan in place. At the same time, I get phone calls from basically everywhere, from A&E to medical receiving unit to even GP out of hours. I also get calls to see unwell children in a children's hospital, as well as review patients who are pregnant in the obstetrics department. So usually you don't get many calls at night, say after 10 p.m. But on this occasion, I did get a call and it was from an anesthetist who wanted me to come in to review a patient's mole on the body. So the patient was pronounced brain dead and the team wanted me to come in to make sure that there was nothing cancerous with the mole. And they thought they had found something odd looking, suspicious looking, and wanted me to check to make sure it's not melanoma. If it is a melanoma, then there is a high chance that they would not continue with the surgical procedure. Now, I'm not entirely sure what exactly happened prior to the conversation, but even if I do know, I probably will not be able to share much details with you because of patient confidentiality issues. I actually asked the anesthetist if I could come in the next morning because I'm on call again, but she said it was fairly urgent as they were preparing to retrieve the organs within the next few hours. So mind you, I still had my bathrobe on at that time when I answered the phone, as I literally jumped out of the shower to pick up this urgent call. So this was actually quite an unusual request because most normally can wait till the next day, and I usually get called about something else altogether, like a new urgent rash that just suddenly appeared. So being the responsible doctor I am, I drove to the department to assess the patient. All this time I was thinking to myself, gosh, I hope this is nothing serious and that it is just a benign non-worrying mole or a seborrhoeic keratosis. Seborrhoeic keratosis is something we commonly see in our day-to-day practice, and sometimes they can look horrible and odd looking like a melanoma, but they are completely non-worrying and are usually caused by increased sun exposure, causing an accumulation of dead skin cells on the skin surface. So before I went in to assess the patient, I knew that I had to hunt down a dermatoscope. For those who don't know, a dermatoscope is a device that helps to, it's a bit like a magnifying glass. It helps to magnify the lesions in order for us to see it clearly and to appreciate the pigment network. This helps us to differentiate between benign and malignant lesions. So that took quite a while because I wasn't sure where things were kept under lock and key. By then, pretty much everyone was waiting for me when I arrived. I could see nurses around, and the anesthetist whom I was talking to moments ago was putting in an arterial line and pumping in medications to keep the blood pressure up. I was feeling nervous and pretty overwhelmed by the situation I was put in. I did a full skin check with the nurse's help, and fortunately the mole in question was actually a non-worrying seborrhoeic keratosis, and there were many of them present. Just when I was about to conclude and reassure the team, I noticed something at the corner of my eye. It was so innocently placed, but still stood out like a sore thumb on the shoulder. I could not convince myself that this was something non-worrying, and there was this nagging feeling inside me that was telling me otherwise. Oftentimes in this situation, I would do a skin biopsy with the patient's permission, of course, to determine the nature of this lesion. However, I didn't have this opportunity because the patient was unconscious and the team needed an answer straight away. In terms of how the mole looked, it just looked slightly odd and different, but not too different if you see what I mean. So even if it was a melanoma, it probably would be something superficial rather than something aggressive. But again, I'm not 100% certain without a skin biopsy. This took quite a while, and if I am being honest, there certainly was some kind of inner conflict within me. Do I want to reassure the team and say that this is fine and probably not cancerous, thereby allowing them to retrieve the organs and donate them to the people who need? Or should I be safe and stand firm on my thoughts, bearing in mind that I am still limited in my dermatology experience and also had to discuss the case with my consultant as well. In the end, I said to the donation team that unfortunately I could not reassure them, and normally I would need to biopsy the mole in question. Luckily for me, I was on call the next morning again, and someone else from the donation team actually came to the department and asked for a consultant review. My consultant had to go in and basically confirmed what I had said. After a few days, when I checked back on the patient's notes, I found out that the patient eventually had a surgical operation and a skin biopsy was taken and sent urgently for processing. I think this story is interesting as none of my colleagues that I spoke to had experienced this themselves when they were on call. This is certainly enlightening for me as well, as I predict more and more referrals would come through to our department. I think this is because of the recent change in the organ donation law in Scotland, where everyone is automatically put on the NHS organ donor register unless you opt out. There are certain groups of people where this doesn't apply, and so I have put them up here for you to see. So in essence, if a patient has any active cancer, no matter what type, they will not be suitable for organ donation. This is because the risk of the cancer spreading to other parts of the body is considered very high. Now, specifically for melanomas, donors with newly diagnosed melanomas during the donor characterization stage should not be used. Melanomas without any spread is generally considered as high risk, which is over 10% risk of transmission, except for certain superficial melanomas like this one, which is considered low risk, so around 0.1 to 2% risk of transmission. Non-melanomas are considered minimal risk, so less than 0.1% risk of transmission, and patients will be considered for organ donation on a case-by-case basis. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you found this story interesting. I certainly would not forget this eventful weekend on call. My thoughts are definitely with the family. If you like what you see in this channel, please click the like, share and subscribe button, as it would mean a lot to me. Thank you for watching again. See you next time. Bye bye.